is how to, once you're into a school, and you were starting to head there with what the latter part here, and I was hoping you weren't going to go too far, so thank you for that. Once you're into the school, how do you keep the school? What are some of the things that keep you in the schools? Because you're in some schools, you are the guy, and you are there time and time and time again. So let's start with how to keep them, and then we're going to do a secondary one of how to keep those shows fresh. But so don't go into the fresh part. So let's do how to keep those schools that you have right now.
So number one thing is common sense, and that's pretty much report. And I don't mean report, like the typical sales report. Oh, make sure you're not a salesperson. Make sure you're a consultant. No, look, they're tired of that. That's how every vendor is. You need to be a little bit different when building rapport. I've got excellent rapport with my clients to the point that, yes, I had them on Facebook. We've been in political debates. We've gone out to dinner before. I'm not saying take all your clients to dinner, but just be friends with your clients. Really do your best to develop that relationship.
You're talking rapport. Oh, there, advisor. That's right. Yep. Okay.
With the advisor, and even with the students, and that can be done via Instagram, Twitter. You got to be careful on Snapchat. So don't add people. Just have them follow you, because we don't need Jared the Subway guy being a DJ. If you get my drift. But it's one of those that the report really, really is key. And I've prided our company on the fact that I have done some major goof-ups by accident, but we have some really good rapport that it hasn't been an issue. I'll give you an example. This past weekend, we were talking about, we did a new setup, and I'm like, look, let's keep the lights off completely this time, because they never really had a really, really bright light show before. I'm like, this is bright enough, we can keep the lights off. And she's like, well, we're just worried about students grinding, whatever the case may be. I'm like, no, I totally get that, but that's not how it's gonna function. Somehow, I was doing texting and driving, but text to speech, so I didn't read it, and Siri put, I want to, I don't know how we got that from, that's not how it functions. So basically, I told my client I want to, no. I pull over and oh my God, and I text him I am so sorry, promise I wasn't hitting on you. Oh, no. It's just that Siri doesn't want to see my company succeed. I am very sure that somebody at Apple works for a competitor. This is weird stuff like that. One client texts me and she's like, hey, can we pay on this and this day? I'm like, yeah, it doesn't matter how I get paid as long as I get paid. No, it says doesn't matter how I get paid as long as I get laid. She's like, well, that's what it takes to get a discount around here. It's really one of those, people got to understand, these advisors are teachers. Teachers are people too, everybody treats them like they're their own teacher. And I can't tell you how many DJs I see, whenever I work one-on-one with DJs in consulting, I'm like, show me your emails. And I'm reading these emails, I'm like, dude, this looks like you're turning in homework. You're not below them as far as the authority scale. You're on that same plane. If not, you're technically sort of above, because if you're hiring them to work for them, you're never going to make it in this business. Mm-hmm. People are not hiring for schools only to work for them. They're hiring for schools only to work with them. Yeah. We are the ones in charge. We're not tell us what you want right down to the T. It's just tell us the vision of what you want your event to look like. Great, we got it. We'll be back in a few hours. And we deal with the hotel, we deal with whatever the case may be. So because of that rapport kind of instinctively builds itself, because I'm telling my client, hey, look, I'm doing this and this and this. Great, I'm so happy. As soon as they say great, when you say I'm going to do this and this, that means that they are putting you in that position of authority, right, that they trust you. If you keep asking, hey, could I do this? Could I do this? No, you're just putting yourself as, in a submissive position, for lack of better words. That's probably not the right way to say it, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So once you really have the rapport built, it's easy to continue going. All you got to, as soon as the dance is over, all right, when can I hit you up to talk about the, next year's dance? At some of my schools, they're booking prom as soon as the prom's over. Mm-hmm. Homecoming is a little bit different. It's up to the athletic director. Where it really gets screwy is when they switch advisors. And I really hate that. And that's really the only times that I really lose schools, is when they switch advisors. And at that point, it's, as soon as they tell you, hey, we're going to switch advisors. You don't say, well, can you pass my information to the new person? You don't do that. Mm-hmm. You ask them, can you send an email to the new advisor, copy me in, introduce us both? Great. And you better have some footage of last year's dance, because most likely the advisor doesn't have that footage, or wasn't there to see it, rather. So once you can show them a little bit of footage, like, look, this is how great the dance was. We do book out quickly. We really want to keep as a client, because I don't want to have to worry about dealing with new clients and all that when I can continue working with you guys. How soon can we make this happen? Don't ask, would you like to keep going with us again? Just say, we want to continue working with you. Mm-hmm. And that's it. It's just plain and simple. And it seems a lot of DJs forget that all it takes to build that rapport is just to simply ask for it. Mm-hmm. You know, and easiest way to ask is just something as simple as a Facebook request. Now, for those of you that are saying, well, on Facebook, I want to be professional all the time, blah, blah, boring. Seriously. This is social media. People are used to it. And I tell my clients, you know, it's like, hey, you know, I just sent them a message on Facebook or whatnot. I'm like, thanks for the ad. You know, this is my personal company Facebook, so please take everything I say at face value. And they're like, oh, no, same here. I'm like, okay, great. And like I said, I've gotten in political debates with my advisors, or we've talked about everything from religion, food, whatever the case may be. They've seen my rants. They've heard me tell people to go F themselves. And they know that, you know, when business is business, it's 100, that's all it is. You know, we're professional. But we have now that personal connection.
Yeah.
And it really, you know, even on things that are completely non-related. I had one teacher that posted that, you know, again, we're in Florida, that they were looking at buying their first gun that belongs to them. And we were talking back and forth, and well, long story short, we signed a contract at the gun range. You know, it's just something a little bit different than most, but I guarantee you that none of the other vendors they've ever met with say, well, you know what, hey, let's go hang out, you know, we can talk business while we're there too. So that's the key part of the report.
Yeah, very cool.